My cat can't pee. He keeps going to litter box, but he can't urinate. He's crying in the litter box. I think I saw some blood too. Your cat might be blocked, or what we call a urinary obstruction. Okay. If your cat is going to the litter box a lot, but barely or nothing comes out, he might be whining, crying, vocalizing in the litter box, or more whiny outside of the litter box. He might leave a few drops that he can pee right next to the litter box or on one of your favorite places, like on your bed, which we all don't like at all, but your cat is actually trying to tell you that there's something wrong with it. And your cat is crying out for your help. It mostly does not get better on its own. It's not like it's cystitis, which can get better on its own, but still very annoying. You still might want to get a veterinarian to look at it, but a blocked cat is an actual emergency. Might this be happening to your male cat right now? Please don't watch the rest of this video. Call a vet right now. If you're from Belgium near AALST, call my number in the description below. Call me right now. Do not watch the rest of the video. You can not fix this yourself. You can watch this video later. This might actually save your cat's life. Go right now. What are you still doing here? Go! I'm deadly serious. Go! I am very happy that you're still here with me because that means there is no emergency yet and you can watch this video preventively. I will break this video down into 5 chapters. Chapter number 1. My own story. This is actually a topic very near and dear to my heart because my own cat, James, died from this when I was in my first year of university to become a veterinarian, and it still hurts quite a bit. So that's why I'm making this video, so no other cat has to die from this. I was devastated when he died because he was only 7 years old, which is pretty young for a cat. We call them senior at 7, but it's still young. Cats can become 14 to 18, sometimes 20 or 22 years, so it was way before his time. And now that I know better, I know for a fact that he would still be alive and he would be pretty old by now, but I think he would still be alive. We always called him the athlete, so he'd be just a very old man, but very happy and energetic. This is hard for me to tell still on this day, but I'm gonna walk you through what happened. So, all of a sudden, I was in my first year of university, and I came back on a Friday evening, which was typical because I was in dormitories or whatever you call them. In Belgium, we call them op kot gaan of op kamer gaan. But my mom said, so Nele, I have to tell you something. James is not well. He hasn't been well since Tuesday. He was a bit off. He walked a bit funny. We thought he was having another back problem. He had this once before. He just strained himself and it was over in no time. So they thought it was this problem. They were like, okay, we're gonna wait like a day, see how he goes. And on Wednesday, he was not eating very well. Then they noticed he couldn't pee. He was trying, but he couldn't pee. Now my cats were both outdoor cats, so this is not easy to see if your cat also goes outside. And both cats that I had when I was still living at home were outdoor cats that almost never went to the litter box. So that's also something that makes this complicated. So anyways, they called our veterinarian at that time, but he wasn't available. So they went to him on Tuesday, and I don't know what he did, but my mom said that he was deblocked by catheterization, but only just at that time. And when I got there on Friday, it was still not good. So we went back. This veterinarian said there was nothing else he could do for him, and he showed me how to squeeze the bladder himself to make him pee. I actually saw some pee coming out on the table there, so I thought it's possible we can help him this way. But when I did this at home, it really hurt him a lot. I didn't dare to do it again. Now this all happened in 2006. We are now 2021 and I've been a veterinarian for almost 8 years. only small animals, and now I know better that squeezing the bladder at that time, the bladder is very fragile one, it's in this state, it's pretty thin, you might actually cause more harm than good by doing this. So I really believe that this could have been handled better. A different veterinarian or another time, or me being graduated, he might still be alive. So I'm still pretty devastated about that. So when we got home, he kept crying to my face, he wouldn't eat. We went to the theater that evening because it was planned for a long time. It was always around this time that we went to see my aunt perform. And normally we hang around for a while, but now I just wanted to go home because I didn't feel good about anything that was happening to James, and by the time we got home, he died. This could have been avoided easily. I'm just gonna pause for a second to collect myself. Chapter 2. Why and how? We do see this happen more in male cats than female cats because their urethra, or peeing tube as you may call it, is much more narrow, especially on the part where the penis is, and there's also a penis bone. We call this the os penis. That's where stuff can get stuck, like urolithiasis, which is bladder stones. Bladder stones can happen pretty oftenly without us knowing, but kidney stones is pretty rare for cats, and that's the opposite in humans. Bladder stones are definitely not the only thing that can cause obstructions. Also, like a urethral plug, as we call it, or a hematoma or a blood clot in the bladder, or a tumor. A bladder obstruction in females, on the other hand, is pretty rare. It can happen, but it's very rare. I haven't seen it yet. I haven't heard it yet. At least not a complete obstruction. A semi-obstruction can happen, but usually they get a chronic cystitis with possibly blood, especially when there's urolithiasis, the bladder stones. If they get cystitis a lot, it might actually cause renal problems as well, so kidney problems. If we're talking about bladder stones, there are two main types that we see quite a bit. There are a lot of other kinds, but I would not even talk about them because, yeah, it's no use. So we have struvite, or struvite, maybe in English, and we have the calcium oxalate. So the struvite or struvite, this can be resolved if it's small enough with a very special kind of food. If it's too big, it has to be taken out by surgery as well, but this doesn't happen that frequently. With calcium oxalate, on the other hand, this cannot be cleared with food. It will help with the overall bladder health, the food, but these kind of stones need to be surgically removed, and they might occur pretty often after that as well. So it might be possible that your cat, if he has or she has calcium oxalate stones, needs surgery more frequently. But on the other hand, this is what I've been seeing with female cats more frequently than with male cats. What actually causes this? We do see this more often in neutered and spayed cats because their metabolism changes, and that's how they can develop these stones. But with the right kind of preventive food, this can be avoided. So a good vet will give you some good advice about this. Actually, the veterinarian food for this is the best you can find. Other things that make your cat vulnerable to urinary obstruction is obesity, stress, like from multi-cat households, or a sudden environmental change for your cat, like a new cat, a new baby, moving houses, workings at your house like redecorating. Also, strictly indoor cats are more prone to this just because they get a little bit stressed from this. One, it's possible that they don't move around enough, and you need to give the proper diet to these cats, but also outdoor cats, if they're spayed or neutered, give the proper diet. It will avoid a lot of problems. But like I said, indoor cats, it often happens that people do not provide them with the right environment for them to be truly happy and healthy. Now, I made a free quick start guide for that. You can click on the description below. Be sure to check that out. You will make your cat much more happy and much more healthy. A previous cystitis or bladder infection also makes for an easier target for this problem, especially if the bladder stones are found and not treated. If you're giving strictly dry food, this can cause this as well, because cats are poor drinkers. So provide at least 2 drinking fountains if you have 1 cat. If you watch my quick start guide to cats, there's a lot of information about that in there as well. So I'm telling you, go check it out. It's totally worth your time. It's only 20 minutes and you're set. You can also mix the wet food in with the dry food, so there's still a bit of a crunch. But if you're giving wet food, your cat is more prone to obesity and dental problems. Now, there's a little flip side to this, because wet food also gives more filling feeling, because there's more water in there. This can actually help against obesity as well. So you really have to mix and weigh the pros and cons about this. But to prevent these problems, you can mix in the dry and the wet food together, so your cat still has a bit of a crunch and he doesn't first fill his stomach with only wet food, and then maybe if he wants a little bit of dry food, he'll go for that. If you want to start wet food and you want to avoid dental problems, please go watch my next video on how to learn your cat and yourself how to brush your cat's teeth. I'll put it in the description below this video. Now, James was quite the exception. He was very athletic, on a perfect ideal weight. The only cat he lived with was one other cat. It was Amy. She passed away 1 or 2 years ago now. And maybe some outdoor cats he might have had stress from. He didn't show it at all. He seemed like a very happy cat. Cats like to hide stress and other things as much as possible, so he might not have known. He also got dry and wet food, so I really don't see the problem. He was drinking a lot from still water outside as well. Yeah, there was nothing except for his castration that could have caused this more easily for him. So you see, not every cat is reading the books. Chapter 3. The symptoms. Mostly your cat might have been a bit uncomfortable for a day or 2 already, but it gradually gets worse. So he might start to not eat so much or at all, or drink, and then after a few days it becomes an emergency where he cannot pee. This is not always the case. It can be very sudden. Your cat is completely healthy and fine, and all of a sudden it's an emergency. This can be because cats try to instinctively hide illnesses for as long as possible. Here are a few symptoms in a row. It's not that your cat is going to do all of these. You might just do one of these, and that is quite enough to consult your veterinarian already. Your cat is going to the litter box more often, might be crying, vocalizing in the litter box. He might be leaving some drops outside of his litter box. There might be red urine. He might stop eating and drinking. He might be very apathic and very tired. Your cat can be grumpy, doesn't want to be petted, especially on the tummy area. There's pain when you pick him up. He's licking his genitals more oftenly than the usual cleaning. When this gets worse, your cat might vomit, collapse, become comatose, and your cat will die without treatment. Don't just squeeze the bladder to help him out, because you might cause the bladder to rupture, and then he will go into shock and die very quickly. So you might kill him instead of helping him.